Hello and welcome back. This is a video over section 4, and this is a section about rotations, okay? So before we get into that, let me come in here. When I think of rotation, I think of a turn, okay? You turn something, okay? And so if we go back to our picture that I had, which is this guy right here, and what I want to do is I want to manipulate this picture as such. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this picture about this center. Okay, so this is my center of rotation. All right. And what I can do, this is pretty cool, what this program allows me to do, is I'm going to take this picture here and I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to set auto rotation. I'm going to set my rotation at the center, and I'm going to rotate this picture around, okay? And I'm going to do this, all right? And so what you notice here is that we're rotating around this center, and I want you to notice what's happening. My orientation, the way it's positioned, is changing, okay? Now, the other thing I want you to notice is that, the size of my face, the size of my hat, the KC logo, that is not changing, okay? That is remaining the same, okay? So my face isn't changing size, but it's changing the orientation, okay? And notice how it goes completely upside down. It's over here to the left, goes right side up, and so on, okay? And so what I'm going to do now, all right, is come back over here, and we're going to talk about what these rotations mean. Okay, so we want to develop a definition of rotation using constructions. We want to describe the properties of and write rules for rotations. We want to be able to determine the image or pre-image of a figure after a given rotation. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at this one, this example here. And so here is my pre-image. Okay, my pre-image. Okay, and here's my image. Okay, and what I'm thinking about here is I'm taking this image here, rotating it about the center of rotation here, okay, center of rotation, and we rotated this 90 degrees, okay, it's been rotated 90 degrees, and we went from here to here. So we actually went, what is this? We went clockwise. So rotated 90 degrees clockwise. Okay. We could also say that we rotated counterclockwise. Okay. So we can go the other way. And if we did that, then the angle measure here would be 270. So we could also rotate negative 270 degrees counterclockwise. Okay. And so, that's kind of just depends on which way we're going. Okay, if we're going to go counterclockwise or if we're going to go clockwise, being able to describe what happens to that figure and what it's going to look like and what the orientation is going to be. Okay. All right. So what I have is a rotation is a rigid transformation, sometimes called an isometric transformation, that moves every point of the pre-image through an angle of rotation about the center of rotation to create an image. Okay, and so, what I know about this, if I were to say connect point B to the center of rotation and then connect that to B prime, all right, then what angle measure is created? Okay, same thing with C prime and C. Okay, if I connect a line through the center, what angle is created? Same thing here with A to A prime, okay, going through that creates an angle measure, okay? And so the angle measure here, all right, angle measure was going to end up being 180 degrees, okay, to show what that is, all right? So that's the rotation that we were able to figure out. Okay, so rotations require a center of rotation, okay, and an angle of rotation. So here just to identify that, I know that my center of rotation is at the origin, and that this would be a 90, so this would be the origin, and the angle of rotation would be 90 degrees. Okay. Now, the cool thing about rotations is that we preserve angle measures. Okay, so remember, preserve means things that don't change. Okay, things that don't change. All right, they stay the same. So the angle measures of those figures don't change, and the side lengths remain the same. Okay. Okay. And so now, all right, here's what I've got. To go through our rotations about O, and O is usually the origin. Okay, otherwise they'll have another point there, and this is the center of rotation, and theta is the angle of rotation. Okay, so what I want you to look at here is we're going to look at the first one in red. All right, and this is going to be through the origin. So let me put my center here. Okay, because these are all through the origin of 0. And then if I rotated this 90 degrees, okay, and so this does say if I go 90 degrees, it means I'm going counterclockwise. So if I were to make, say, a point from A over to A prime, okay, this angle here is 90 degrees, okay? And I want you to notice what happens. Okay, if we rotate something 90 degrees, then the x and y values switch, and the y value becomes negative. Okay, so let's write that down. All right, over here, this describes that x and y switch to get your new point, and y is opposite. Okay, and that's what's going to happen. Okay, if you were to have, say, a 180 degree rotation, okay, then let's connect point A to A double prime. All right, and that's going to go through the origin. This is 180 degrees. Okay, and so what I'm noticing here is that x and y become opposite. All right, and that's it. They keep the same orientation. All right, now the other one that we've got is a 270 degree rotation. Okay, and so what that's going to do, if we go from point A over to A triple prime, all right, this angle measure here is 270 degrees. Okay, and what I know is that x and y switch, and x is opposite. Okay, to get those new points. All right, and so this to clarify this, when we do a standard rotation, we are moving counterclockwise. Okay, so I do want to put that up here. That you can describe them both ways, but when you write your rule, that means that we are moving in a counterclockwise way. So counterclockwise for your rules. All right. So when you write your rules, make sure that you're always going counterclockwise. All right. So that's that first page. Oh, there I am. I'm still moving. Okay. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay. So on this one, we're given this picture here of a graph, and we're given this original point here, and we want to write a rule that describes the rotation about the origin. So they tell us that it's about the origin. Okay. And so let's just write this all over here, because it's also going to ask us how many degrees was the figure rotated about the origin. Okay, so what I can do is this. All right, I'm going to say we're going to rotate this about the origin a certain number of degrees, and we have the points x, comma, y, but let's take a look at something. All right, if I had my original point A, which is the point -1, -2, to get to my A prime, that's going to be the point 1, comma 2. All right, and so all we're doing here is we're taking these points and we're making them opposite. Okay, and the reason why is because we have a 180 degree rotation. Okay, this angle measure here is 180 degrees, and that's it. Okay. All right, on this next one, it says, what is the image of the triangle DEF after the rotation about the origin? Okay, and so here's the origin. Okay, we're going to rotate this 270 degrees. All right, and what's going to happen from our rule? Remember that if you get the point Y and then X, X is opposite. Okay, so here's my origin. Okay, and I have point E, which is the point, and let's write all these out. E is the point -1, 2. Okay. F is the point -3, 4. Okay. And D is the point -5, 2. Okay, so after I translate these to get E prime, my new one, I want to switch my X and Y values. So I get 2 and make my new X value opposite. So that's going to be 1. Okay, to get F prime, all right, what I want to do is switch my values. So I get 4 and then +3. Make your last one positive. Okay, here for D prime, we're going to get 2, +5. All right, so let me plot those points. Okay, so E prime is the point 2, 1. All right, and then we've got 4, 3. All right, and then we've got the point 2, 5. All right, and let me connect these real quick. All right, and this is the point E prime, F prime, and D prime. Okay, now what I want you to see here, to go from, say, E to E prime, all right, this point here to here, moving counterclockwise, how many angles was that? That's 200, or how many degrees is that? And that's 270 degrees. Okay, and I also want you to think about, you know, this thing, if it were to, you know, move all the way around, notice how D is going to always be on the outside up here. And if I continue to rotate it back, it's just going to map back onto itself. Okay, so that's kind of how you can tell if you got it right. All right, so okay, let's take a look over here. It says, what are the coordinates of the vertices of the image of the rectangle WXYZ after the transformation, moving it about the origin 90 degrees? Okay, so here's my origin. Okay, and remember our rule for doing this. Okay, if we rotate something about the origin 90 degrees, then X, Y is going to change to the new point, -Y, X. Okay, so remember what we're doing is we're switching our X and Y values, and this value that was Y is going to be opposite over here. All right, so here's what I've got. And let's just list out our points. This helps me do this if I'm doing it by the points. And for these rotations can be a little tricky. So I usually end up, you know, putting these points down. So I've got the point -1, 4 for W. Okay. For X, I've got -1, 2. For Y, I've got 2, 2. And for Z, I've got 2, 4. All right. So to get my new value, what I want to have happen for W prime is I'm going to have the point -4, -1. Okay. So switch my X and Y value. My Y value that was here becomes negative, or is the opposite over here. All right. To get X prime, okay, what I'm going to do is switch those up. So I'm going to have -2, -1, okay. To get my new Y value, Y prime, it's going to be -2, 2. And then to get Z prime, we're going to get -4, 2. All right, so now let's plot those points. Okay, so for W prime is -4, -1. All right, so I'm going to plot that point here. X prime is -2, -1. Okay, Y prime is -2, 2. All right, and then Z is -4, 2. All right, so if we connect all of these, then we have a box that's been rotated over. So X prime, Y prime, Z prime, and then Wait a minute. Yeah, and then W prime. Okay, and we can always check to see, all right, if I connected X through the origin to X prime, do I have a 90-degree angle? Okay, and that's what I'm doing. All right, so that's that. All right, let's take a look at this last one. Okay, it says, what is the pre-image of the figure if the rule that created the image rotated about the origin negative 90 degrees? Okay, so this means when you have this negative here, this means that we're moving clockwise. All right, so remember we have the image. We're trying to go backwards, okay? So what I want to do is I actually want to rotate this image 90 degrees counterclockwise. So I want to go backwards. All right, so we want to go backwards. All right, backwards. And so if I do that, my rule is going to be a rotation about the origin 90 degrees of my points x, y, and that's going to give me the new points negative y comma x. Okay, so now, and I'm going to do that on all these points. So for q prime, all right, to go from 5, 2, to go the other way, all right, to rotate that backwards, I'm just going to switch up my points, and that's going to give me negative 2, 5. Okay, for r prime, that's negative 1, 2. Okay, to switch that up, we're going to get the point negative 2, negative 1. And then s prime is going to give me 2, 4. All right, so if we rotate that, that's going to give me negative 4, 2. Okay, and so this is going to give me the points for Q. All right, this is going to give me the point for R, and this is going to give me the point for S. All right, so Q is the point negative 2, 5, and that's going to be up here. All right, negative 2, negative 1 is here, and then negative 4, 2 is here. This is S, this is R, and this is Q. And so that's my image, okay? And these are the points that I was looking for. So that one is a little bit tricky. You know, just make sure that you read the rules correctly and you're able to do those. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in a bit. Thanks a lot. Bye.